Okay, I just put together this short video to show how I installed the system in my lady's Tucson. Hopefully the information provided will help you out. Just wanted to say I'm in no way professional. I just like doing this sort of thing. But do note that if you're going to tackle this yourself, make sure you disconnect your negative to your battery before you do any kind of electrical work in your car. This just protects your car and protects yourself to any shorts or shocks or stuff like that. So anyway, I hope this video helps you guys out. Thanks. Alright, so the first part of the install, we're going to install some new speakers for the rear. Get this panel off, or just remove this cap. There's a screw underneath that cover. And down here, there's a notch. You can slip in your pry tool and pop this right off. All there is there's a harness to get your lock-in window and your seat warmer, and of course the door lock on the inside. It's fairly simple once you open it up. So as you can see, this is the factory. The other one there is a Rockford Phosphate 3-way. And it'd be a vast improvement for sound over this thing that they provided. For my front speakers, I got 6.5-inch Hertz component set. What I did, because it didn't come with any trim rings, or I didn't buy any wire harnesses, I just took apart the old speaker, which is pretty easy to do. I have another one here. You just cut along here with a blade to get the woofer loose, and you can just trim these. They're just plastic tabs here holding the magnet. Just empty out this basket basically. That way we can mount the new speaker right to the old frame. It leaves just enough room to screw down a 6.5-inch woofer. And on the rear side, just solder up your woofer to the factory connector. That way we can use this plug inside the vehicle as opposed to having to buy an extra harness. It's the same thing goes with the tweeter. It fit pretty snug into the OEM housing, and all I have to do is just solder up these wires, and then we can use this plug as well inside the car. So that's it. If you don't have install equipment from wherever you bought your speakers, you can easily make your own, save a little bit of money, and that's it. Okay, so we're going to install the front speakers now for the Tucson. To remove this door panel, I'm going to pop out this cap here. There's a screw located underneath the cap and the handle. And down here, there's a notch right here to put your pry tool in to pop this out. You're going to have connectors, electrical connectors here, and the door latch connector here. It's fairly simple to take off once you open it up. Okay, so for the tweeters, it came out a little bit different than the one I had in my last video. That harness was from my Elantra. I thought it would be the same, but it's not. So it's a little bit different. So as you can see, I had to two-way tape it to the mount. It'll sit a little high in the Tucson door, but the screws will catch and it'll hold it just fine, and it still lets me use my factory connection. So it'll still work. It's just take a little different approach than in my other video there with the other harness, but it'll still work. Okay, so now I'm ready to run my power from the battery of my Tucson through the firewall and into the passenger compartment. You can see my feeder here. I'll just tie my power wire to this, and then from inside the driver's footwell, you can see my feeders here. I'll just pull my my power wire through here, and I'll run it through the sides or under the seat. I haven't decided yet to get the power to the trunk. Alright, so I got the power cable through the bottom down there, run it behind the kick panel. And on the Tucson, if you take the rubber surround off the doors, there's a nice little race there. You can put your cable right through and feed it through to the back. Okay, so now to get the power wire from the back into the trunk, I ran this feeder underneath this panel here, and it actually came out right here in the rear passenger door. I'll just tape that up to my power and I can get it right to the trunk and we're done for power. We're gonna try and run the speaker wires now. On the Tucson, you're gonna remove this rubber seal and then remove this black cover right here. Use your pry tool here. Remove this screw here. That'll allow us to get this trim piece out, which runs all the way down to the bottom of the radio. So with some gentle prying, with some good pry tools, don't use anything steel or you will damage your dashboard. You can actually pull this out. It's just held on by clips all the way over to under the radio. Cover for the deck is just held on by clips. Very carefully use a pry tool to get underneath and just pop it right up. It's pretty flexible, but still use a plastic pry tool. And as you can see here, we got a screw here. There's one on the other side. And there's two underneath, right here. And here there's just Phillips, and then this thing should just pop right out. Okay, so for this install, I'm using this speaker cable I got from Stinger. What it is, it's got 8 speaker wires and 1 remote. It's a nice, neat little package here. I'm going to be using 2 speakers, so 4 wires to go into my line out converter. And the other 4 wires we're going to use to bring this signal back from the amp and hook them up to 2 of the speakers. And I'm going to add another pair of speaker wires for the other 2 speakers, because we're only going to be using 2 from the deck back to the LOCs. That's all it needs. And yeah, so that's about it for now. On the one closest to the passenger side on the right, these 8 wires here are going to be your speaker wires. Now I happen to have a harness that I have from a previous install that would help determine what speakers are what. So I'm going to plug it in just so we have it all lined up. Okay, so if you're looking at it from the top, the first set of speakers are going to be your left rear. The second set moving down are going to be your left front. Your third set moving down are going to be your right front, and that leaves you at the bottom set, which are going to be your right rear. So that makes it a little bit easier to get everything done. The wires to the left are all going to be your negatives, and the wires to the right are all the positives. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier. Sorry about the lighting. There you go. So you can see it. These wires here are all your speaker wires. Easy. Alright, I got all my speaker wires soldered and taped up. In case you wanted to know, this orange and blue, that's blue with the orange stripe, is your remote. I tested it to find 12 volts when it's switched on and 0 volts when it's off. So that's the one if you want to hook up your amp remote. This is the one right here on the most newer Hyundais. I ran the speaker cable just underneath the heater. You can't see it now. It's underneath the heater panel. It's going to go into the kick panel and along the race down the doors all the way to the trunk. From the front into the back, and then I went under the carpet and then under the seat. And here we are into the trunk with the cable and the extra speaker wires. So next I'll wire up the LOC and get the amp rack going. Alright, so we're all done with the install. Got a 10-inch MTX sub in a ported enclosure. And then underneath in the tire well, we have a Kenwood amp running the sub. Got a McLaren crossover. And an old school acoustic amp running the 4 speakers in the doors. My line converter is way underneath the seat. You can kind of see it. It's just a cheap passive one. I suggest getting an active line out converter, like a one from JL or Audio Control. Just gives you a better signal out to your amps. Mine sounds okay because I'm using a crossover. If you're going to use a passive line out converter, make sure you use it with a crossover or a equalizer that has some sort of voltage boost on the signal so that your amps has something good to work with. So a few upgrades that I'm going to have coming up soon. As you can see, my fuse block, I'm not using the fuses at all. I'm just using it as a distribution block. I was having problems with this block before in my other car, so I'll just use that temporary until I get my distribution block. I would like to use a 4-channel amp to have a little bit more control over my speakers, so that's coming soon. And I also want to get a sealed box as opposed to the ported to have some more room in this vehicle. All in all, it was a good install. Hopefully I shared some stuff that you found useful. Any comments, please share below. Thank you.